I want to thank each of you for joining us here today for this exciting day in beautiful West Fairmount Park. The Fairmount Park Conservancy is a nonprofit organization that exists to champion Philadelphia's park system in close partnership with Philadelphia Parks and Recreation. I want to acknowledge some elected officials in our audience with us here today. Our Mayor, Michael Nutter, I believe, is walking in as I speak. Deputy Mayor Mike, yes, there he is. Perfect timing, Mr. Mayor. Deputy Mayor Mike DeBerdinas. Congressman Chaka Fattah, Councilman Curtis Jones, and two representatives with us here today, Elliot Griffin from Councilwoman Bass's office and Romany Reynolds from Councilwoman Tasco's office. Thank you for joining us here today. We are here today to make an extraordinary announcement that will change the civic landscape of our city and will shift the conversation around the role of urban public spaces on a national level. The William Penn Foundation and the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation have made an $11 million investment in an initiative called Reimagining the Civic Commons. A multi-year grant that will support 5 model projects and unprecedented collaboration between major public space leaders in the city of Philadelphia. We are thrilled to have representatives from those 5 projects with us here today. They can please raise their hands and stand up when I call them. The Bartram's Mile Trail Project, Joe Siernick, and our great friends at SRDC, and Mike DeBerdinas, Mark Vogt, and Philadelphia Parks and Recreation. This is a trail and greenway project by Parks and Recreation, the Schuylkill River Development Corporation, along the lower Schuylkill River that will transform the industrial brownfields into an urban park, the Bartram's Mile. The Discovery Center in East Fairmount Park, Katie Newsom Pastusik and Phil Wallace, an educational collaboration between Audubon and Outward Bound to inspire leadership development and environmental stewardship at the East Fairmount Park Reservoir. The Reading Viaduct Rail Park, Paul Levy. A former industrial rail line that will be repurposed by Center City District as green public space rising from ground level onto bridges that cross over 3 city streets. The Lovett Memorial Library and Park. We have Siobhan Reardon from the library. There she is. And Anuj Gupta from Mount Airy, USA. The renovation and expansion of this existing library and community park by the Free Library of Philadelphia, Mount Airy, USA, will inspire great community participation in Mount Airy. And last but not least, the Centennial Commons, the Fairmount Park Conservancy's own project, will transform an underutilized section of West Fairmount Park into a creative new play space for the Parkside community. Please acknowledge John Gattuso and John Binswanger, our board president and board chair. Each of these projects is in a neighborhood that is primed for this level of investment. These projects will help connect local residents to premier public space and will serve as catalysts for continued community-driven, positive change. The investment by William Penn and Knight Foundations is truly groundbreaking, not just because it will help us build these amazing capital projects, but because it will connect them and us in a way that will serve as a test kitchen for future civic space initiatives on the local and national levels. As part of this Reimagining the Civic Commons initiative, the Conservancy will serve as a lead convener of the Civic Commons Collective, an exciting new effort to bring together the model project partners for collaboration on research, programming, and advocacy. Through this collective, we hope to leverage our individual strengths, resources, and knowledge, and collaboratively act as a laboratory of learning. We will test the idea that a revitalized and connected set of civic assets can foster engagement, retain productive citizens, and ensure the long-term prosperity of our city. And in so doing, we will confirm our belief that the social and economic value of a neighborhood and of a city is intrinsically raised by the vitality of our public space. Just a few years from now, with our reimagined Civic Commons, all eyes will be on Philadelphia. We will be #1 in the New York Times for places to visit. And an epicenter for our country's thought leaders and learners of civic space. We extend our most sincere thanks to Knight and William Penn Foundations. Thanks to them, an extraordinary opportunity stands before us here in Philadelphia to reimagine our civic spaces, reimagine our civic dialogue, and reimagine our public partnerships. We stand before you today, poised for that challenge and ready to go. We are so grateful to the Knight and William Penn Foundations for this support, but make no mistake, we are here today because of the incredible vision and leadership that we are so fortunate to have in our city government. Let me be clear, each of these projects and the Conservancy itself is in this position of strength because of the financial investment and support from Mayor Nutter, Deputy Mayor Mike DeBerardinis, Council President Clark, all of City Council, and the amazing staff at Philadelphia Parks and Recreation. These projects began during this administration and will come to fruition as a legacy of these leaders who helped make them possible. Please join me in welcoming, without further ado, the mayor of the greenest city in America, Mayor Michael Nutter.
Well, if it's an announcement about the park, it must be Catherine Ott-Lovell, who continues to provide tremendous leadership in so many, many ways. And, you know, I've teased Catherine over many, many years. She was, of course, in the city government for a great time. Was coming in, I said that, you know, we wanted to be the #1 green city in the United States of America. Catherine took that seriously. I said that we needed to grow the city's population. Catherine took that seriously, just had a kid for us and all of that. And today's announcement really just continues the great leadership that she provides. When Catherine says she's going to do something, when she's into it, she's into it. Ladies and gentlemen, our great executive director of the Fairmont Park Conservancy, Catherine Ott-Lovell. Seems like we're doing one of these every couple weeks or so. Yeah, I know. You do, Catherine. And to all the folks at the Conservancy, John and John, thank you all very, very much. Mike DeBerardinis, our Deputy Mayor for Environmental and Community Resources, and Sue Slauson and Mark Folk from Parks and Recreation. Please give them a huge round of applause. I get to do a lot of things and make a lot of announcements, but we know at the end of the day, we know who does the work and makes things happen. We're, of course, located, I love all 10 council districts, of course. You know that. I love them all equally, but certainly being here at the Horticultural Center in the wonderful 4th Councilmatic District. I spent... Where else would we make such an announcement? And the great leader in the district here, Councilman Curtis Jones, who has taken over greatly the responsibility for about 60% of the largest urban park system in the United States of America is located in the 4th District. I do remember that. And please recognize Councilman Curtis Jones. I never calculated the numbers, but I'm going to take it, Congressman, off the top of my head. You must have about 80% of the park system in your district being larger than the 4th. The support and the help that we received in so many, many different ways, known and unknown, from Congressman Chaka Fattah has just been incredible. And for that, as 3 West Philly guys who chased around in any piece of grass that we could find, the kind on the ground, that grass, on the ground, that grass. That's a different story of decriminalization. On the ground, that grass. You know, we're just three West Philly guys trying to do our thing, and please recognize Congressman Chaka Fattah. All the other council members involved, and certainly I know in particular in one of these projects, a number of conversations with Council President Clark, who represents the 5th, but when I was there, and I'm sure it's the same with Councilman Jones, so unique situation, you know, somebody's got to draw the boundary lines wherever they draw them. So 33rd Street over in North Philadelphia, huge reservoir, huge park, huge activities, but all the people live across the street in the 5th. So, you know, there was always a little bit of a deal between the council members for the 4th and the 5th. But Council President Clark has made a huge investment in one of these particular facilities, and I'll talk about that in a second. The representatives from Council Members Bass and Reynolds Brown's offices, thank you all very, very much. Nancy Goldenberg is in the back, Parks and Recreation Commission, thank you for your leadership in all of these areas. And a huge good friend over to the side. Has been a friend, a supporter, and an advisor for a long, long period of time, and that is, of course, Joe Manco. Please recognize Joe Manco. Joe, thank you very, very much. And so I'm really liking this this combination here. We must continue this. This is a dynamic duo over here, locally and nationally. It doesn't get much better when you have Laura Sparks from the William Penn Foundation and Carol Coletta from Knight. Equally dynamic, apparently about the same height, and personable, forceful, smart, and really know how to get stuff done, which is what we specialize in, GSD. In public, I say get stuff done. Back at the office, we say something just a little different. Mike D knows about that. Please recognize these two great national leaders, Laura Sparks and Carol Coletta. Thank you both very, very much. All the friends groups, the resident associations, certainly the representatives from the 5 entities that are part of this incredible announcement today. It's your work, it's your focus, it's your commitment, it's your chasing after us from time to time, it's your pushing and driving these agendas that ultimately result in great success for this city. We do a lot of stuff downtown and in all the neighborhoods, but it's your commitment. It's your commitment to your own communities. We all live in this city, but it's your particular focus on that piece of park area, on that neighborhood aspect that makes your community the great part of the city of neighborhoods that really does make a difference. So you really owe yourselves a huge round of applause in this work. We couldn't do what we do without all of you. So on behalf of 1.5 million people, thank you very, very much for all these community groups. Thank you. The announcement today, of course, continues our commitment to the citizens of the city, especially our children and those who are young at heart, to make Philadelphia the #1 green city in the United States of America. And it's not for chasing designation or titles. Every city should have that certainly as their goal, and we're fortunate to have someone like Catherine Gajewski, our Chief Sustainability Officer, GreenWorks Philadelphia, nationally, internationally recognized plan for the city of Philadelphia, and folks will continue to talk about our great city. Please recognize Catherine and the great work that she's doing across the city government. You know, the other day on a very sad occasion, I had when I left the viewing for police officer, Sergeant Robert Wilson III down at 52nd and Whitby. We shot down 52nd Street on our way back to City Hall. And I had the occasion to tell a couple folks who were in my car, that's my neighborhood. grew up at 55th and Larchwood, and so when I was a kid, and there was a time that I was a kid. I was not always this old. Um, we played at Black Oak Park, 52nd and Pine and Larchwood. It's now Malcolm X Park, but that was our place. And then on Saturday, coming back from the funeral, we shot down 63rd Street. And if we had been really good, and if there were a large group of us, we played at Cops Creek. And so sharing these stories with folks about, of course, when I was a kid. And it always goes back to a park story, a recreation center story, or a library story. Those were the things that meant so much to all of us as kids. And they still mean a whole lot to every kid and every person in this city. And so these investments, and to be the mayor of your hometown in a city that is passionate about open space, passionate about recreation, passionate about libraries, passionate about kids, there is no better feeling, certainly for a public servant. I teased Catherine about these announcements, and there are a lot of announcements that take place here in the city. Last Thursday was the groundbreaking for 500 Walnut Street. Later that day, Philadelphia was chosen for the soccer or football, depending on your perspective, Gold Cup Championship. It will take place this summer. The next day, SLS International, the congressman was there, which is a new hotel and commercial space at Broad and Spruce, of course, the home of Philly International Records. People are really excited about this city. They're enthusiastic about what's going on in Philadelphia. Later this year, someone who, hearing about Philadelphia, is so excited about Philadelphia and decided to want to come and check out Philadelphia for himself. Now, he'll bring close to 1 million to 2 million people with him, but Pope Francis wanted to check out Philadelphia and see what's happening, as this will be literally his first visit to the United States of America in his life. He's coming here, and naturally the DNC next year. Philly's the place to be. People all across the country and around the world are recognizing that. When folks talk about the New York Times review that came out, 52 places in the world you have to go see in 2015. And we are a competitive city. It's the most incredible sports town in the world. I said last week at some event that even when we agree on something, we debate it here in Philadelphia. We would just like to argue about stuff because we're so passionate about things. And I'm going to say, if we have to be number 3 to Milan in Cuba, I'm good with that. I'm all right. I'm fine. I'll take that. Dilworth Park, what an incredible revitalization that's been. And again, Congressman Fatah and so many others, a $15 million Tiger grant, Paul Levy and his team on time making that happen. We had a fantastic season with the ice rink. The water, I guess, maybe in another month or so. Still a little chilly outside. We're coming up. Spruce Street Harbor Park and Huffington Post was listed on the top 10 list of urban oasis in the world. The city of Philadelphia. Of course, the revitalization and the realization of the vision for these public spaces would not be possible with us just working by ourselves. That won't work anymore. That model is over. And so these great public-private philanthropic partnerships are really the driving force now behind a lot of good things happening in our city. Wells Fargo, the bank, they're huge supporters of our Tree Philly program. We give away trees to citizens in this city. We've planted, Mike D and his team, over 100,000 trees over the last few years, increasing our tree canopy, lowering the temperature, cleaning our air. The Trust for Public Land is helping to transform gray, concrete, barren schoolyards and recreation center parking lots and making them green play spaces through our Green 2015 plan. And so we are really working toward the greening of the city. Today's announcement, of course, confirms the value of the investments that we've already made by attracting more than $11 million in support from two great partners, the William Penn Foundation and the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation. And so I'll go off script a little bit, which will make people a little nervous, but, you know, it's just the way it is these days. So if you read the paper this morning, you would have read that these two incredible foundations are doing this wonderful work. And, well, you know, it's not the biggest grant in the world that some other people have received. Of course, that's because we're Philadelphia. And even when someone gives us $11 million, we have to talk about how much it is as comparison to some other places. Well, I grew up in West Philly. $11 million is a whole lot of damn money, okay? It's a lot of money. But the other thing is, you would have thought, as great as they are, that they just kind of walked in town one day and said, hey, we'd like to invest $11 million and let's run around and see where there's some projects going on. These are all City of Philadelphia projects. We've got nearly $8 million of our money, your money, in these projects as well. It's just astounding how people communicate different things, even when they have the information. But I digress. Our good friends in the foundation community, they selected the Fairmount Park Conservancy, who else, as the organization with the knowledge and experience to manage this great new initiative, Reimagining the Civic Commons. All the projects selected, while different in size and scope, share one thing in common. They're going to revitalize and transform unused and underused spaces which have great potential to be incredible social hubs in their respective communities. Philadelphia is that quintessential city of neighborhoods, and all of these neighborhoods need this help, will benefit from this help. But I would tell you here today that citizens from all over the city and all of our visitors, they're going to go to every one of these spaces. They're going to experience what we experience and sometimes have taken for granted or let fall apart. And it's their help and support that's brought us to this day. So I look forward to all these projects being developed over the next few months or into the next year in every corner of our city. And again, as Philadelphia is on the national and international stage, and more people will be coming. I can't wait to read the reviews of these places in a newspaper that may get delivered to you early in the morning in our city. I'm going to love reading about how fantastic these spaces are, these places that only received $11 million, that apparently the city was not involved in, and somehow, some way have magically popped up all over the city of Philadelphia. Well, you know what? It's not about how much you invest, it's how impactful your investment is, and every one of these is going to make this city the great place that we want it to be. So I'm going to turn it back over to Catherine before I really say what's on my mind. But we are grateful. So give it up for our founders one more time. Thank you.
Okay, on that note, so our next guest is no stranger to this world, and a great and dear friend to the Fairmount Park Conservancy and to me personally. It's no surprise, no secret that working with Mike DeBerardinis is one of the favorite things for me about my job. And when I first started in the Parks World a few years ago, I knew immediately that I was going to like this guy and that he was going to be a great mentor. I think it took him a little longer to warm up to me, but he's almost there. But it gives me great pleasure to introduce our incredible Deputy Mayor, Mike DeBerardinis. So.
Catherine, I'm just trying to keep you on your toes, that's all. Anyway, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Mayor, thank you for your wonderful remarks as far as I'm concerned. You cleared the deck for me, so I don't have to go back there. But, in Parks and Rec and in the library, which is in my deputate, and we're all, which is all the groups that are receiving these grants, we care about three things. We care about more than three things, but we really focus on three things. Helping kids succeed in their neighborhoods, with the adults in their neighborhoods, connecting them to their community and helping them understand their community in a deeper way. Taking care of the resources that are under our jurisdiction in the best way possible, expanding those resources, and then taking the best possible care of them, particularly the natural resources that are that we have to put our energy into and keep healthy every day. And finally, the third thing that's most important to us is doing that in close connection with our citizens. And I contend that we can't do 1 and 2 without 3. And today, 3 is here. And those of us in government having the support of National Foundation, a great local foundation, great nonprofit like the Conservancy, and all of you really lifts up our hearts. And I know every Park and Rec employee in the room is glowing with pride and with gratitude. So to everybody here and to the two foundations, thank you so much. Today is a very special day, and on behalf of my colleagues, First Deputy Commissioner Susan Slauson and Mark Folk, and all the women and men of the Department of Parks and Recreation, I want to thank William Penn and the Knight Foundation for their generous and courageous grant making, and for their continued investment in Parks and Recreation system, our Parks and Recreation system, as well as our libraries. And I want to put a special thank you out there to Janet Haas, Laura Sparks, Sean McCaney from William Penn, and to Carol Coletta, Vice President for Community and National Initiatives, and her team for, I think, courageous grant making and really recognizing the great work that all the nonprofits in the room have been doing, and the leadership of the mayor and the work of this administration. I also want to give my own personal thanks and my department's thanks, deep thanks and gratitude to Mayor Nutter for his consistently strong leadership and his personal support of the departments in my deputate. This mayor not only created visionary policy with Greenworks, but he's backed it up with resources. You know what that means? Money to drive this stuff forward. And also with his time, immense amount of commitment of his time and energy, as well as giving us the freedom to create in that policy. And that's a gift, and I've been in government for about 25 years, and that's a gift he's given everybody in government. Mayor, thank you. I'm also thankful for the incredible partnership we have with the Fairmount Park Conservancy. Catherine talked a little bit about that. But without the leadership of John Cattuso and the board of directors, and John Binswanger, past president, and Catherine Ott Lovell's amazing leadership and her great staff, I venture to say we would not be sitting here today receiving this $11 million grant. So Catherine, John, to board and staff of the Conservancy, thank you. On behalf of the women and men of the department and the city, thank you. And to all the groups and organizations whose projects are the recipients of these grants, thank you for your strong and consistent leadership, your professionalism, and the commitment of your organization to your missions of public service, and that your commitment to serve all citizens of this city in every neighborhood, from every class and every race, and every stretch of this beautiful city. Thank you for your great work to date and your expanded future, more impactful work. Thank you all very much. So I did, today is special. special because we received this grant and this recognition, these grants and this recognition, but it's about something more today. It's about the possibilities of our collective future. Here we are. Look at this room. We're together, we're united, and we share high aspirations for our city and its people. Today, we reflect on our journey and commit ourselves to working together to green and beautify our neighborhoods. Today, we lift up our work as a symbol of fairness and equity. We proclaim our commitment to provide high-quality green space and open space to all our citizens, and to restate our goal to lead the country in building a sustainable infrastructure and a sustainable economy. And today, we take a big step forward in taking our rightful place as America's greenest city. Mayor, thank you. Foundations, thank you. Receiving groups, thank you. And all the groups and everybody here present, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is bright in here. The sun is shining down on a room full of amazing people, and it's been said by multiple people, but I think it's really important to reflect for a minute before we go into the rest of the remarks that these projects have come to life through an aggregated effort of many, many individuals who have put their own individual goals aside, their own individual organizational goals aside, and come together to create something that is, I think, greater than the sum of its parts. So thank you all for being here and for embarking on this work. You know, some of these projects have been many, many years in the making. I think a lot of times we come to these events and it seems like they just happened overnight. But there's a room full of people here who know that you've been working on these projects and working towards a vision that is 8+ years in the making. And to be able to be at the launch of all of this work is truly extraordinary, knowing how much work and effort has gone into it and the staying power of your commitment. So thank you. We are in the midst of an extraordinary moment in Philadelphia and for the region. At the William Penn Foundation, we are focused on fueling the momentum that is building Philadelphia's profile as a world-class destination and one of the country's most livable cities. But equally important for us is the ability to really leverage that momentum, to capitalize on that momentum and energy, and our incredible public assets in ways that are inclusive, in ways that ensure that all citizens in Philadelphia have access to these amazing amenities. As we embarked on this project with the Knight Foundation, we asked ourselves, by reimagining our civic spaces, can we really begin to bridge the gap between affluent communities and those in need? Can we ensure that high-quality amenities like engaging parks and comprehensive trails and public art that are accessible to everyone and used by all Philadelphians, can that help ignite a different kind of energy in this city? And can it ignite revitalization and re-engagement for neighborhoods across the entire city? At William Penn Foundation, we believe that the answer to all of those questions is yes. We wouldn't be here if we didn't. And in fact, supporting the development of great public spaces, beautiful public spaces in corners of the city that don't yet have them is critical to our strategy. At the William Penn Foundation, we're all about the team, so I rarely call out individuals, but I would like to acknowledge Sean McCaney, who's here. Sean, where are you? True to form, Sean is standing in the midst of the crowd in the back, but he's really been a visionary for the foundation and I think a true collaborator for folks around the city in helping many of these projects come to fruition. He's really led an effort at the foundation for us that focuses on great public spaces and about this work of integrating neighborhoods, particularly those that are underserved or that may stand alone, and to make sure that every neighborhood in this city has access to the growth and the prosperity and the opportunity that this wonderful city offers. It's about creating shared spaces that a diverse population can enjoy and creating access to beautiful places where people from all walks of life can come together. We are committed to the idea that these beautiful spaces should be for all of Philadelphia and should serve all Philadelphians. So why Philadelphia? I mean, we all live here. We're proud of it. We think these projects should be here. But I think most people, beyond those who are just here, would agree that Philadelphia is the ideal national laboratory for this kind of work in urban civic space development. And we don't just have to tell ourselves that. We have wonderful partners at the Knight Foundation who really have a national lens, who recognized that Philadelphia is the ideal national laboratory for this work. Our millennial population is booming. Philadelphia's population increase among 20 to 34-year-olds is as big as any other city in the country. That is really significant and a significant departure from where we've been as a city and from where the country's been. Many neighborhoods, particularly those on the edges of Center City and our university campuses, are undergoing rapid change for the better. Great work is already happening. There is a room full of people here and loads of people beyond these walls who are creating, who are entrepreneurs in their own right, who are creating and innovating new public and civic spaces in all shapes and sizes. And there is evidence that the city's investment in pop-up and permanent placemaking is paying economic dividends. The city doesn't make these investments just to show up on great lists. Those are wonderful for us. But they make these investments because they really matter in specific places. They create opportunity. Look at the Independent Seaport Museum. That museum experienced a 32% increase in attendance after Spruce Street Harbor Pop-Up Park opened up next door. Those examples of success are happening all across this city. The city is home to an infrastructure of former industrial spaces that are ripe for this kind of change, ripe for this kind of repurposing and reuse, and to create beautiful places out of industrial spaces that once served a different purpose. The region is also at the heart of the circuit, what will ultimately be a 750-mile connected trail network that links neighborhoods all across the city and the region. It will be unlike any other. And all of these developments are piquing the interests of others, including national funders, including our colleagues here today from the Knight Foundation. We are so pleased to have your support and your partnership. By linking these 5 key projects, as Catherine explained, the Civic Commons Initiative will seek to capitalize on all of this momentum in Philadelphia in order to better understand the impact of a united effort, the impact of a united and collective and sustained effort to ultimately drive a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. I started by saying that Philadelphia is in the midst of a truly extraordinary moment. And it is our charge as a community, as civic leaders, and as citizens to make sure that this is a moment, and most importantly, a city that is for all. As I mentioned, we're so very fortunate that the momentum of the city is attracting the attention of national funders, both public and private. When we reached out to the Knight Foundation to share these projects, we saw the wonderful possibility that a partnership between our institutions could bring. This Civic Commons initiative will be all the stronger because of the shared vision and investment support of our national partner, the Knight Foundation. Here to share a few words about Knight's national perspective on urban redevelopment is Carol Coletta. She's been a wonderful champion for this project. She leads the Knight Foundation's Community and National Initiatives program. Thank you so much, Carol, for your support.
Thank you so much. The Knight Foundation is thrilled to partner with the William Penn Foundation and with the city to build on the generous investments that those two partners have made in Philadelphia's civic assets. So thank you, Laura. Thank you, Sean, who brought this work to us in a staff exchange, right? We were just having a staff exchange, and they brought these projects and then just kept selling, and it didn't take too much. And boy, we are so excited about the work you're doing. It is really remarkable, and we do get a chance to see cities all over the country, Mayor, and what you're doing in Philadelphia is really just stellar. So we're thrilled to be here. Yes, to you. Okay, so the obvious benefit of the investment that we're making together, all of us in this room are making together, is that Philadelphia gets 5 fantastic new civic places. But I think the less obvious benefit here is the collaboration that this represents, not just between public and private sectors, not just between William Penn and Knight, but among the leaders of the 5 institutions that are represented here. As Catherine emphasized, almost $1 million of our combined grants is going into what we think of as a collaborative innovation fund, something that allows them not to compete for funds, as they often have to do, but instead to collaborate with one another. Catherine called it the test kitchen. I sort of love that notion of the test kitchen. What'd you say? Oh, it's my idea. No wonder I like it. I'm glad you're repeating it. At any rate, we're excited about that. So if the leaders can actually do that together, if they can work together to reimagine a civic commons that yields increased and more widely shared prosperity for the city and for these neighborhoods, then I do believe, Mayor, Philadelphia will be a model for the nation. And that's a story that we look forward to showcasing to other foundations, to other mayors, you got to help me do that, to people everywhere who, like you, value their own civic assets, but too often find them disinvested and disconnected. I believe this collaborative work can start a national movement to reimagine the civic commons in cities everywhere. And I think it all starts today, right here in Philadelphia. Knight is so grateful for the opportunity to participate with all of you in this groundbreaking work. Thanks.
Each of these projects is connected to a vibrant friends group or community volunteers that are working each and every day to make their neighborhoods better and our city great. I cannot think of better examples of this than Joyce Smith and Michael Birch of the Viola Street Residents Association. Viola Street is a small but magical block just across Parkside Avenue from West Park. If you haven't been to Viola Street, I encourage you when you leave today to take a little stroll over or drive down Viola Street, because it is really an amazing place. And Joyce, Michael, and the Viola Street Residents Association have created an amazing vision for their block and their community, and it is their hope and ours that the Centennial Commons Project will catalyze the positive changes that they've been working towards in their community. And so I'd like them to say a few words today on behalf of the Viola Street Residents Association.
Very quickly, I'm a resident of East Parkside, and I'm also a member of the Viola Street Residents Association, and we have been working really hard to address some of the neighborhood problems, some of the blight that we've been dealing with. So we really support this project, so we're hoping that it's going to have a great impact on what we're trying to do and stimulate development in our neighborhood.
Yeah, and I'd like to chime in on that. I think this really will help inspire new development going on, not just in the Park region, but over in the residential side. We really want to see new people come in. We want to see thriving businesses return to the area. I'm a longtime resident of the Parkside area. I think it's one of the most beautiful regions in the entire city, probably in the entire world. I love the Fairmount Park system. I grew up there, and it's done many, many things for me and many of my colleagues. We could live anywhere, but we choose to live right here in Parkside in Philadelphia.
Okay, so there's a little story behind this. Carrie's going to kill me. But do you guys remember Dave Roberts on Channel 6? And he had the weatherboard with the sunshines. That's like my childhood memory, right? Anyway, when we're thinking about the model projects and how to represent them, we came up with this great idea to do a map and to actually have the project partners come up and place their image on the map so you can see where they're going to go. Aren't they adorable? I know. We could sell these on shirts, right? Would you buy one? Okay. So first, we're going to ask Paul Levy to come up from the Reading Viaduct. Next is the Discovery Center. So Katie Newsom-Pastuzik and Phil Wallace, come on up. Okay, next we have Lovett Library and Park. So we have Siobhan Reardon and Anuj Gupta. Siobhan from the Free Library of Philadelphia, Anuj from Mount Airy, USA. And next we have the Bartram's Mile. So we'll have Joe Siernick come on up and Mark Folks. And the Centennial Commons, that's us.